Hello from a frigid Chicago. I am doing this video, yes, from my hotel. I am not at the stadium, as you can tell, because it's too damn cold outside. So appreciate you guys coming to hang out with us here for this pregame conversation. Looking forward to the Browns and Bears over at Soldier Field here this afternoon. And what's a game between two teams who are obviously kind of going in opposite directions here. We got a lot to talk about there. Make sure you follow along with us, brownsroundtable.com. Check out our join the community section. We'll join the site and we'll have you covered with our game thread today. And then obviously any of our written content throughout the day, any of that good stuff will be going up over there as well. And then also subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't done so already, or most of you are watching this right now. And make sure that you hang out with us pre and post game like this each and every single week, and get all those post game press conferences and all that good stuff as well. So, Megs, yeah, interesting matchup. Listen, like it's a fun one because it's interconference. You get a chance to play the Bears, but the Bears are a team that are kind of fighting for the playoff lives right now. They were a week ago number one in the NFC. All of a sudden, they're number 7 in the NFC. They're on the fringe of making the playoffs, so this one matters a lot to them. For the Browns, it matters a lot less. Like they're mathematically eliminated from the playoffs now. So it'll be interesting to see, especially with the temperatures being what they are, how much fight this Browns team has. Not that I think they're going to quit, but like these are the types of situations where your season's basically not going anywhere. How do you fight through a cold game and try to still kind of come out with a win? And I think they have the right players, and especially a lot of young players who aren't just going to roll over. So we'll see what type of fight the Browns give them today. But with all the injuries they're dealing with as well, I think it's going to be a lot harder.
Yeah, it's gonna be a bunch harder. And I look at the Bears, and you laid it out perfectly. Like how they go from the 1 seed to the 7 seed, like they are on the fringe of the playoffs, like, and they are fighting for their lives because right below them, nipping at their heels, is the Detroit Lions, who are right there. And it's like, man, they're in a very critical stretch with the Packers coming back to Chicago next week. So they're gonna be fighting for. Fighting for their playoff lives, really. And this is like a game they cannot lose. And yeah, like you said, for the Browns, like the intrigue on our side is, obviously not. Unfortunately, we're out of the hunt, which is unfortunate for me. But the intrigue is this young core, right? How does Shador progress today? Does this incredible rookie class continue to show that, hey, they can be a foundational piece? And that's the intriguing part for Clevelanders, because we're still going to learn a lot today, even in a game that may not mean too much for our season at large. I think it's going to continue to show what this group of youngsters can bring to the table.
Well, yeah, I think that obviously that starts with Shador Sanders, who's the talking point really the rest of the season, right? Like, can he earn at least a conversation about being the starting quarterback next year? That's what he's kind of trying to prove over these last 4 games. Now that we know he's the starter, and he gets a chance to kind of go out and do that today against one of the better defenses he's going to sort of face down the stretch here. He had a lot of success last week against the Titans. Can he replicate that, or at least not even replicate that, but build upon that and give you some consistency? I think that's the thing we're looking for from Shador now is, okay, we've seen you do it against NFL defenses. Can you do it consistently week in and week out? And if he does that, starting today against the Bears, I think he does give the Browns something to think about when push comes to shove this all season, to decide, hey, do we think he can be our quarterback of the future, and maybe we don't need to draft a guy, or maybe they'll still decide, hey, we haven't seen enough. We are still going to draft a guy, maybe make this thing in competition or whatever. But yeah, I think that's the number one thing I think everyone's watching for today is, okay, you put up this great 364-yard performance. It was an amazing one. First rookie quarterback to throw for 300 yards this year, all those things. Can you have play comparable to that in sort of back-to-back weeks here against an even better defense?
Yeah, that's it for me. We talked about it at the end of last week, that he's got a great stretch this week, or this next month, really, with the Bears today, Bills, and Steelers. Those are, and then finishing out with the Bengals, right? I don't know if Joe Burrow will even be playing in that, but that's a 4-game stretch there where it's all competent teams, all really good defenses, all playoff teams, and you can really learn a lot. Like that. That's the hard part about this evaluation, is that they're going to have to condense a lot of, they have to predict their future on 5 games, right? A
Yeah.
5-game sample size or 6-game sample size, which is a tough thing, but that's the bed they made. And you know, today's a massive day for sure. Like Shedeur, this is like this should feel like playoffs to him, because if he can prove it and show it, man, this team is going to have the assets, the resources to really try to flip this thing around quickly, and it could be just revolving around him as the cornerstone.
Well, and I think he does sense that. Like I like some of the comments he's made just about like understanding he might not be here next year. Like he's got a lot to prove. He knows that, which is one of the reasons why, you know, you talk about it being cold and guys quitting and all that. I don't think there's a lot of room for this team to do that. There's certain guys on this team that certainly aren't going to let that happen. Shedeur is probably at the forefront of that. So yeah, listen, we're all going to be watching him today. We're all going to be watching pretty closely. And I don't think like this stretch has like, these aren't like the, you know, cream of the crop defenses. Like the Bills defense has been super banged up this year. The Steelers defense has been like so hot and cold. Obviously the Bengals defense stinks, and the Bears defense is good. I wouldn't say they're like amazing. Like everyone highlights the turnovers, but without the turnovers, they don't get a lot of pressure. So I do think they have some room to have some success today. I think the offense has a chance to move the football a little bit today, but it's going to be about like how the cold plays into that. And honestly, that might be another big part of this, right? Is how does that cold impact game plans? The Bears are the number 2 run team in football. I think the team that wins this game is probably going to have to run the football the most effectively. And that would be a philosophy that sort of favors Chicago, obviously, because of the style that they've won with. The Browns have had some issues getting the run game going lately, with Quinshawn still being a tremendous player. But now you got to throw in the fact that like your offensive line's even more banged up than it's been in recent weeks. Can they do enough to kind of get that push needed to get Quinshawn sort of free and make those plays he needs to?
Well, and I'd also add too, like last week was very eye-opening in terms of what the Titans did to the Browns defense. Like that was the first time that Cleveland's defense gotten like actually gashed all year long.
Yeah.
And it was by the worst team in football. Well, maybe the second worst team in football. Like they ran it at will. Tony Pollard had his best day of the season. And, you know, Ben Johnson had to be licking his chops, being like, oh man, like this is because he's the most creative play caller, the most creative play designer in the entire NFL. And that is, yeah, he's going to be in his bag of tricks today. How
many trick plays do you think we get today?
I don't think we get many trick plays. I think for them, dude, it's like I think it is like.
I guess I should have clarified from the Browns or from the Bears.
Well, that's true.
The Browns could pull some out too.
Yeah, right.
On those 2-point conversion plays.
No, it'll be. I'm concerned from a Browns perspective, like on the defensive side, like very concerned with what Ben Johnson's going to put together. But also too, you talk about Shedeur facing maybe not the best defenses. If some of these games become track meets and they get into like a back and forth, like does he have the guts to stand in there and compete with Caleb Williams or compete with Josh Allen or Aaron Rodgers or Joe Burrow? I think that's going to be telling from in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I'm glad you bring up the defense and some of the issues they had last week, because I don't know that that's going to get any better necessarily. Like I think you missed Malik Collins a lot last week.
Yeah.
I also think as soon as I kind of, when I first made my prediction over at a different podcast, I kind of was going into it thinking like, yeah, some of these guys who've been injured this week, like, they're going to play. Then you get the injury report on Friday, and Denzel Ward's not playing, and that is a huge difference, because teams have basically avoided him. Like they have not thrown to his side of the field this entire season.
Yeah.
And so like, I understand, like, I think the run game is still going to be the most important factor in this thing, but yeah, when like missing him, I think changes the math a little bit on what this team's going to be able to do. I'm fascinated to see how they kind of handle that, but yeah, man, like that's another daunting thing for this team to overcome. And it feels like almost too much. Right. So I think even more so than the cold, the injuries is maybe the most challenging thing this team has to overcome today.
There's no question about it. And, the whole right side of the offensive line's out.
Yeah. Obviously, no Ethan Posick, like officially for the rest of the season now. Yeah. He's out. Yeah.
Yeah. And like that opens the door for some young, like Luke Whippler, a great example. He's competing for kind of his future in Cleveland too. And it's like, hey, this is going to be the first taste of some of these young names that maybe they'll be here next year, maybe they won't. So a lot of just intrigue that's coming along the lines of some of these injuries. But it does stink, man. Like this game has always the potential to be like a really fun one, like Browns, Bears, Chicago, Cleveland, the whole thing. And unfortunately, the Browns didn't hold up their end of the bargain this year. And to make it an intriguing one, postseason or longer term conversations. But there's still a lot to be interested in today from a Browns perspective.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So we'll see how it all shakes out. I'm a few minutes away here from having to step out into the cold.
Are you nervous? How nervous are you?
No, I'm all layered up, man. I should be good. I got some hand warmers. It's just, I didn't want to have to stand outside.
Are we doing post game from the field?
Probably not. I can.
Okay.
Here's the biggest problem. It's not even like if I'm just standing there, I'm just standing there. But you can't get frostbite in like 30 minutes in this stuff. So I don't. That's part of it, I guess, too. But more so, it's like the setting everything up. Like my fingers are going to be so cold. Like I'm not going to be able to like screw in the little screws I need to screw. I'm not going to be able to like plug my microphone in. That's the thing I'm the most worried about. So
and your computer freezing, we can't have that.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I don't need that. So I'm probably just going to be upstairs for this one, but we'll figure it out. Megs, we submitted our predictions per usual over at brownsroundtable.com. Let's go through them here and give the people what they want. If you want to read it and see it in written form and more of a deeper explanation, you can check that out over there. Also, we're going to give you a bold prediction for the game as well. Megs, I'll let you go first. Where you're at with this one?
Yeah, for today, I know in my write-up we talked about a lot of it, right? There's intrigue on both sides of this. For the Bears, it's they went from the 1 seed to the 7 seed. They have one of the best records in the NFC. They are fighting for their playoff lives, which is just funny to say. So they're going to be locked in like this. We're going to get an angry Bears team. Kevin Byard said it the other day. He said there's no such thing as a trap game in the NFL because everybody is playing for something. So like if that's one of their veteran leaders saying that, like that's the messaging that's going through their locker room. So they're going to be locked in. The Browns youngsters are going to be locked in, trying to prove themselves. I think again, as they always are, I think the Browns keep it close in the first half. Maybe they put a couple drives together. Maybe they scored a little bit. But I do think ultimately that Ben Johnson's Bears are going to be just too much on the ground. Caleb's playing at a decent rate right now with Denzel out. It's going to be too hard, I think, for the Browns defense to overcome and their offense to overcome. So I got Bears 31, Browns 17. Bears pull away at the end, and maybe get a late Browns touchdown to look a little bit closer than what it seems. But Bears 31, Browns 17 is my prediction.
So I initially had the Browns scoring 17. I backed off that a little bit because I just think the injuries might be too much for them to overcome today. And I still think they can have a decent game. I still think they're going to be able to do some things. But I wonder about like how many points they will actually tangibly score. So I dialed back that a little bit, but I agree with you in sort of following that same tune that we've seen for much of the season where it's probably close for a little while. And then the Bears, second half sort of figure some things out. I think the defense probably cleans some things up, but I think, that run game ends up being a little bit too much down the stretch of the game. And the Bears, again, are able to pull away. So I'm going to say, I think my official one was Bears 24, Browns 14. I initially had 24-17, and the Bears could end up scoring more points here. We'll see if the defense plays like it did last week. But I think they bounce back a little bit and contain that run game for a little while, and then I just think it becomes too much to overcome. I think I honestly think like maybe the Browns 14 points all come in the first half even. Yeah. I could see him being like a close one, like 14-14 or something like that at halftime, and then the Bears sort of score in the second half to pull away. But we'll see. I think the fact that the run games could be a big difference today is going to be what pushes the Bears to victory because they are, as we know, like one of the better running teams in football. What's your bold prediction for today?
All right, bold prediction for me today. I think Shador. This is going to be. I'm going back and forth on this one. I got Shador throwing in the cold for over 275 yards today. I think that's going to be mine. It's bold because the Browns are beat up on the line, and their receiving core isn't the best. However, I do think that they showed a lot of signs of growth these past couple of weeks. And one of the old quarterbacks, I think it was Kurt Warner or maybe no, it was Cody Kessler on his show, talked about how Shador's elevating the play of his teammates, and that's the mark of a good quarterback. I think that he's actually absolutely doing that. I got Shador throwing for over 275 today.
I like that. I was kind of feeling like 250 for Shador. Like,
Then I was feeling 250. Then I know the segment's bold prediction, so I bumped it up.
I like that. I like that. I appreciate you leaning into the bit. I'm gonna say, listen, it's been a while since Quinshon Judkins had over 100 yards rushing. So
Ooh.
I'm gonna say he actually sets a new career high today, 120 yards rushing. His high for the season is 110. I think he gets to 120. I just think with how much volume there's going to be running the football. Also, you got to remember, like, Jerome Ford banged up on this team. Dylan Sampson not playing today, so I think he's going to get even more carries than usual. I think they'll be mindful and careful with him, but I think he's going to get more carries. So we'll see how they sort of handle that. But yeah, I'm going 200. That'd be crazy. 120 yards for Quinshon. I'll go 125 just for
125.
just to make it feel a little bit more like a solid number there. Like 125 is a little prettier than 120. So we'll say 125, and the Browns and the Browns lose the game, but he puts up some decent numbers and has some success today for the offense. I'll also say Miles gets at least one and a half sacks today.
I may sprinkle some. So I may get on our little bet here. Quinshon over. I may pick one. Quinshon over 125. That would pay out. That would pay out a nice chunk of change if you wanted to.
If I lose you money, it's not my fault.
It's not on you.
I am not liable. I'm not liable for this.
Call the number.
Anyway, guys, appreciate you hanging out with us. I'm gonna go put my my final layers on here and get out the door. But make sure you follow along with us during the game. We'll have our live game thread. We'll have our, anything that happens in the game that's important, we'll have you covered. And then obviously post game, I'll have my column go up. We'll have some other post game stories from things that go on in the locker room. And we'll have those post game press conferences up for you at the YouTube channel, Browns Roundtable on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe. We'll have another conversation like this post game as well. Not from the field, most likely, unless somehow it becomes balmy in the next, 8 hours. Appreciate you guys coming to hang out. We will talk to you post-game, and make sure you keep on following along with all things Cleveland Browns with Browns Roundtable.